speaking project. We are focusing on enhancing your public speaking skills, and at the end we will be having a small competition or a platform where you can also express whatever you've learned in all the 6 sessions that's going to happen throughout the 6 months. I would request Rotractor Purna Chandrika, President of Rotrac Club of Sahas, to call this project to order.
Okay. The first session, speaker session of DRISHTA is called to order.
Thank you, Purna. So, Sabrina, are you ready?
Yeah.
So, we have Rotractor Sabrina from Rotrac Club of Madras Mount. So, apart from my friend, she's been very active in Rotrac, and she's also been actively participating in a lot of public speaking events. She also have experience in theater during school and as well as college. She graduated from the Women's Christian College, and also she is a fashion stylist, entrepreneur, and So with respect to Rotrac, she has worked with the district directory team as the chairman, and she's also been the secretary for one of the major professional service project during DRR Shubhatra's year. So that is Communicate to Change, and I was one of the participants during that district level project. Thank you so much, Sabrina, for accepting this invite, and we are very eagerly looking forward to hear from you.
Thank you. So can I begin, or is there anything else? Yeah, great. So before I begin today with my session, I would first like to congratulate the club on putting together such a project, because at these times, especially during the pandemic, to come up with ideas where you can connect people and still make some progress in terms of personality development, in terms of self-development overall, is something that I know is Monica's passion. And we've come a long way. I think this is life in a full circle, because to where we started off with Communicate to Change, again, C2C, where she was a participant, and then to a journey of being in directory with her and learning so much from her, and now to being even invited to speak to you all is life in a full circle, like I said. So Monica and team, thank you so much. And kudos to Sahas for putting together a project of this sort, where I'm to understand that this happens over a period, and this is not just like a one-time project, and there is an end goal to it. So when you have to do something in a continuity, it is not very easy. Doing a project which ends in a day is fine, but to have progress and monitor that progress takes a lot of team effort. So Sahas, I think you should give yourselves a pat on your back. So kudos to the president, the secretary, and the team, and everybody behind this project. So I was told that I'm going to be talking on the introduction of public speaking. Now, I'm to understand that the team here, there is going to be a mix of Rotractors and non-Rotractors, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So public speaking, I honestly don't think, not to be modest, but I don't think I'm there yet to be speaking on it. But with the little experience that I have, I'm more than honored to be sharing it with you guys and telling you about my experiences and giving you a few pointers, which I hope will be useful to you all in your different spheres of work and in your personal life to take it forward. And that we improve in being better people at the end of the day, both personally and professionally.
So, Sabrina, you're being very modest here. And to be also telling Rotractor Purna Chandrika, the president of this year, is also a participant from Communicate to Change.
Wow. So, okay, yeah. Wow. Okay, wow. That's amazing. That's amazing. Okay, nice. Anyway, I think before I start giggling and laughing and turn this into a very colloquial conversation with Monica, I'm going to start off. Yep. So I was told that we are talking on public speaking today, right? So in my opinion, I like breaking things down into basics. Now, when you break it down to why, what, when, let's start off by understanding what is public speaking. Why does it exist? Or whatever it is, like simplest. Just break it down to public speaking. So here you're addressing a public. Now the audience there may be known to you, may be unknown to you, or maybe a mixed crowd, right? So when you talk about public speaking, I'm sure quite a few who have registered today, this is not your first event where you're reaching out to people to understand what public speaking is in order to enhance your skills. But I'm sure you've heard a lot about confidence, about postures and whatnot. But I like breaking it down to 3 simple facts: A, B, and C. A being audience, B being yourself, and C is clarity. To keep it very simple, let's start off by addressing the bull by its horns. We're talking about public speaking, right? So you are addressing somebody who is not your colloquial circle, who is not your regular friend where you can have just a regular, direct, upfront conversation. This is not a place where you can make fun or you can take anything very trivial about. You need to understand your audience. And so much so to understand your audience, to understand what their perspective is and what they want to get out of this is very important. When you're addressing the public, you need to understand that either they're paying you or they are tolerating you, if I may say so, for a stipulated number of hours or a couple of minutes to hear you speak. So you really can't be a bore, or you can't undervalue and underjudge them and consider them to be foolish. Understand and never discredit your audience. I think this is something I must put it out there. Quite often have I noticed that we discredit our audience and saying, no, they're not really into it, or they're just here for some other reason or whatnot. When you understand your audience, do a study on your audience, study on the age limit, study on the languages that are okay with them, study on the kind of mindset and the situations your audience is going to be. Like currently, you're all seated behind, I'm sure, a screen. If this was an upfront conversation, it would be far more easy for you to grasp things. But because you're sitting behind a screen, and I'm sure all of you have logged into work this morning, or with, oh, by the way, happy Independence Day to you all. So I don't know how, I'm sure Monica was working today, and quite a few have been working as well. So it's not really easy for you to be sitting behind the screen. So if in such a given situation, if I'm going to go around the bush time and again, which generally happens as a form of a public speaker, we're often asked to buy time from the audience because there is a delay in the programs, because there's a delay in the operations. If that happens in person, you have a lot of opportunities to make sure that you manage time, you buy time. But when your audience is seated behind a screen, it is not really comforting. And it is definitely not good on a speaker's part to be taking them for a ride by saying, okay, let's do a 40-minute session. Human tendency is more than 40 minutes. If you were to tolerate somebody or somebody speaking, you're bound to go to sleep. So your audience, understand your audience, have a connect with your audience. Second, be yourself. Honestly, if I were to talk like Michelle Obama or talk like one of the speakers that you guys like, how long do you think I can hold up my character for? 10 minutes, 20 minutes, say because of theater experience, possibly an hour or two. But then again, if you are not going to be yourself, how do you think you are going to captivate your audience? Question yourself, what is it in you that the audience must see? What is it in you that the audience must connect with? Because that exact answer is what is your USP as a public speaker. And if you can't bring a certain jazz to the very conversation, then it's just the ordinary. And honestly, turning something from an ordinary to an extraordinary is what makes you a good orator. That is something we all must work upon. The road, it's always work in progress. And every day you learn something. When I say connect, be yourself with your audience, when it's not just a one-time event or a two-time event, right? It happens over a series of time. And if you're speaking at public events time and again, I'm sure your audience is going to differ. Grasp and study your audience and connect it with yourself. Understand what it is about your audience that you like. What is it about your audience that you want to enhance and make sure that you get better the next time that you're talking? It comes down to that situation. Now, when you talk about being yourself, it doesn't really have to be saying let loose or not. How do I put this across? More than let loose, I think it's also coming down to a point of adding your personal trait to the very conversation. Like for me, I use my hands a lot when I converse. So I think the way I talk, more than my hands and my face, is very expressive. Because you're sitting behind the screen, it's easier for you guys to see my face. But if we were on a stage, my face wouldn't be very visible. So it's only my hands that are going to create the gesture for you to understand what I'm trying to communicate. That's my quality. With that being said, I love the fact that today is happening on screen, because after a very long time, I get to use my facial expressions in explaining out and breaking it down bits by bit. And facial expression always adds a lot of value when you're speaking. When you're going to have, like, say, a poker face, or if I may use the word, the resting bitch face, like how many of us women get when we are on the podium, when we are trying to host something, it's not very pleasant. But I'm not saying go around cracking jokes and making fun or turning the event light and turning it into trivial. Don't do that. hold yourself, hold your posture, but also bring yourself to the table. C, clarity, right? What is clarity? You can take clarity in the sense of the finesse over the language. I may speak decent English. I may not speak good Tamil. My Tamil is more like Tanglish, and I'm sure Monica is going to laugh at this, thinking about the number of times I've cracked jokes over this. Hindi, Urdu, any language for that matter, own the language that you can speak in. No language is greater than the other. Everybody or every language has its own right, has its own beauty, and has its own nuances. Understand it. If you're speaking Tamil, I'm sure whoever's been a part of C2C will be able to tell you that we had quite a few Tamil speakers as well. And knowing that Rotaract was introducing Tamil speaking sessions was a change. And being with them, I learned that Tamil has such beautiful expressions. You don't really need to converse only in English with your client or with your audience unless and until you are not confident about it. I'm not the most confident speaking Tamil. That is why I resort to English. Because today's event is happening in English, so I am going to be sticking to it without using phrases from Hindi or Tamil. But this is something that you should understand when it's a mixed crowd. And when you use different languages, you connect with the audience better when you can talk in their regional language by bits and pieces, using phrases and terms. They understand you and you immediately grab their attention the minute you are saying namaste, vanakkam, all of that. For somebody who is not so easygoing on another language, these small traits show that you're respecting their religion, you're respecting their culture, you're respecting their language, because these are all interconnected. With that being said, when I say about finesse in language, we all have different voice modulations. We all have a different command over our language. But when you are in a public speaking platform, you must realize that you can't make it sound ordinary. It needs to be so crystal clear that the person hearing you must understand what you're trying to convey. It can't be to a point that you go on a rail speed and expect your audience to understand. Understand when you need to take a pause, when your audience needs to translate what they are saying. Many a times, I'm sure all of you have seen cases where, say, the audience is clapping or the audience is laughing and the speaker is on a standstill. Those 2 seconds or say 20 seconds of a standstill, as long as the audience is talking, the speaker loses his character and his command. It takes like half a second for him to, or say half a minute even, depending on the speaker, to get back into the character and go back into the posture and say, okay, let's continue it. But the quality of a good public speaking person is when there is a pause with your audience, when your audience hasn't understood, or if your audience is pointing out something that you don't, or you didn't expect it, or see if the audience is laughing, giggling, or if they're even having a thunderstorm of claps happening for you, in that moment, you still need to hold yourself. That, be upfront. Be upfront about what you are addressing and why you are addressing it. When you choose to be a part of a public speaking event, please understand to have a personal connect with it. Understand what's your purpose there. Why are you there in the first place and what's making you do that event? It is okay to do that event to get fame. Honestly, there are so many times that you will, there are many times that you will find yourself in situations where you don't connect with the topic, that you don't understand what is happening out there, but you're still doing it because you need that recognition so that you go on to the next step, so that you climb the ladder. It is okay. When it is that sort of a situation, do your study. Do your study to connect, do your study to understand, work better with the team. Now, Monica and I, because we go back with C2C, so public speaking wasn't too much of a difficulty for me to get on board with. But if you don't connect with the topic, if you don't connect with the title of the speaking, if you don't connect with the theme or the event occurring that day, you're headed for a downfall. You're not going to enjoy yourself. And if you can't enjoy yourself as somebody who speaks or who loves to speak, exhibit A, which is me, you won't be able to connect with your audience. You're going to bore your audience to sleep or rather death. And you really don't want that. Next, when you are on a stage against a screen, this works different. So once we resume to normalcy soon, which I'm hoping is round about the corner, when you are on a stage, your posture matters. You can't have a hunchback. You can't expect to stoop and still expect the audience to connect with you. You can't expect the audience to understand what you're trying to communicate. Hold yourself upright. Hold yourself to the point of commanding that attention from your audience. You deserve it. If you are the one behind the mic, if you're the one behind the podium, and if you're the one controlling and being the orator that evening, then you've done something right to be there. understand what you've done right. This on a very personal note, as a speaker, to where I have started off from my school days to today. One plus point of public speaking, I may say so, that it helps you understand quite a number of conversations in the room. Now, when I say quite a number of conversations, it's like being the Jill of all trades, but master of none. I may not excel at conversing on every conversation, say politics, say global trade, say domestic violence, whatever. But at least I have the sensibility to understand what my audience is trying to connect the conversation with, or what the theme of the day is going to be. As a public speaker, equip yourself with enough general knowledge to be able to make a conversation with your audience, with the fellow dignitaries that are there, because it's not just always addressing about the audience, the regular audience, but you are going to have some prolific names sitting on the dais that you may have to all of a sudden address, welcome, and whatnot. So when you have enough general knowledge to connect with, you'll be able to understand them better. And that is how you hold their attention. The other thing that I wanted to talk about is saying, put your best foot forward, be it in terms of the outfit that you wear, be it in terms of the way you look, be it in terms of your choice of words, be it in terms of the mindset you want to change in the room. You can't change 100 people overnight. You can't even change one, for all I know, but you can try. Certainly try to captivate your audience. When you put your best foot forward, you hold yourself in a position that your audience can never get distracted from you. You mesmerize your audience with your persona, with your personality, and that always shines the most on a stage. You guys need to picture yourself this, because this helps in my field, honestly. Picture yourself up on a stage in the center and the spotlight's on you. What is it that you bring that should compel me to listen to you without catcalling or without hooting and without rushing you off the stage? That is from the audience's perspective, because you are there for your audience. You are not there for yourself. Number one, that's your sole responsibility as a public speaker. With that being said, then comes you. When you are there up front on the stage, the spotlight's on you, everybody's eyes on you, you must transform. You must transform into larger than life. Unless and until if you're not going to be larger than life, your audience is not going to see that. And more importantly, you're not going to love yourself being at that point. You may only picture yourself as a public speaker saying, okay, good, I was there for the event. I was the face of it. Don't be the face of it. Be the life of it. The day you start being the life of it is the day you know you've reached the next step to progress. So yeah, so I'm going to brush it through again with A, B, and C. Audience, be yourself, and clarity. I don't have a presentation. I'm not going to be showing you pictures. I'm not going to be doing that. I think we all have had enough screen time for today, but rather I would like to welcome the audience in questioning me and asking me if they have any doubts, if they have any queries or whatever. I would like to keep the floor open to that if that's okay with Maunika and team.
Sabrina, you still have some time to share.
I do?
Yeah.
Okay.
We had allocated 30 minutes for the speaker, and
okay.
it's just 10 or 15 minutes over, so you
okay.
have time.
Okay, great. Just give me a second. Yeah. So with that, now, because we have time, I think I will brush upon this as well. I've given you the vision to look after when it comes to a stage, right? Now, say for next 3 months, we don't resume to normalcy. What do you do then? If you are to host something that's against a screen, how do you do that? I'm sure you all know there's a virtual background happening or whatever it is. Understand the minute details, because here your face is at the forefront and your audience sees only one half of your body rather, and not your entire posture. How do I connect with my audience? I connect with my audience because of my face. Because what I'm saying to what I'm showcasing on my face and what I'm trying to express connects. What is the connectivity you're adding there? And when you are against a screen, there are too many eyes on you, which is up close and personal. It can get very daunting. What do you do when it gets daunting? It is okay to accept when you've faltered. It is okay to use words of saying, I'm sorry, there was a mishap. I'm sorry, there was a technical error. It is okay to do that because that is what makes an event natural. If you think you're going to have a free flow of audience who are going to forgive you for your mistakes, no. Unless and until you don't own up to your mistakes on stage up front, your audience is not going to forgive you. Rather, it's going to become the talk of the room, and never let that happen. With that being on the negative aspect of it, the other side of it is, let's say, talking or buying time. Even in technicalities of this sort, there is a possibility that we're waiting for a dignitary to walk in. There is a possibility we're waiting for an audience to walk in. How do you control the room then? What would you naturally do? This is where having general knowledge equips you enough to address the room, keep the room intact without having, if one audience falls apart, it's like a domino effect. Everybody starts falling apart. And when you are talking, be it against the screen, be it on stage, always address it to the old deaf lady in the corner. That's how the statement goes. When you address it to the old deaf lady in the corner, visualize a stage, visualize a theater, or visualize the screen. There is always one person who is deaf, who can't hear you clearly, who won't understand, or who's least interested being there. Make him your target. Unless and until you don't turn that person to somebody who understands you and who connects with you, your job's not done. You need to enunciate your words. When we speak Queen's English, luckily, which we do, and not the American English, if I may say so, because you speak the Queen's English, you must enunciate your words. Your A's, E, I, O, U's, all of those are very important. I'm sure this goes in Tamil as well. And with that, when you have a command over the language doesn't come overnight, right? You have to build yourself. You have to build your vocabulary. Either you build your vocabulary with movies, which I wouldn't highly recommend, because the English used in, or rather the Queen's English used in movies is far little. Or rather, if you're watching a lot of Brit movies, it really doesn't help much except for understanding that tomato, tomato, potato, potato, pronouns, proper nouns, understand the grammar side, then it helps. But on a daily basis, when you're trying to communicate or trying to have a command over the language, it will most certainly come from your books. Sorry, but that's the ugly truth of life. You have to read a lot of books. But apart from reading books is when you communicate with the other person. If you're somebody who doesn't like reading books, because I'm seeing a lot of heads nodding, saying no books whatsoever, it is okay. It is okay. But listen, when you are listening to people talk, you capture it. If your eyes are not helping you in following through a book or a paragraph a day or whatever it is, listen. Listen plenty. For somebody who keeps talking like me, listening is not really an option, but that's when you have people like Maunika who will make sure you listen. But then with your friends, or say with your colleagues, or with your family, start conversing better. When you converse beyond the language, our typo language, our texting language has ruined our vocabularies. It has ruined our grammatical skills. But then bring about that change. Stop doing shortcuts. Type it out. When you type it out, subconsciously, you are hearing yourself say it in your head when you're typing it. When you do that, that takes a better command over your tongue. And I'm not really sure if anybody in the audience has problems with languages, which I'm sure is pretty common, and it's natural. It is completely natural. If you're anybody who thinks that I don't have a good command over my language, or if I stammer and stutter, and because I stammer and stutter, I can't speak, I can't be a good public speaker, that's a myth. Honestly, there's no such thing as I am not good enough. There is no such thing as saying maybe she's better because she speaks better, not me because I stutter. You stutter because it's in your head. You stutter because you're letting yourself stutter. Don't. And so what if you stutter? It's not just about the point where you're stuttering, or it's not about the point where you're feeling a little less confident. It's about how confident, or rather how much are you feeling yourself. The day you feel yourself completely is the day you'll be able to own the room. And that is what a public speaker must do. You may be given 5 minutes, you may be given 10 minutes, you may be given 20 minutes, but always make sure, this is my pro tip. If I'm given 30 minutes to talk, I'd rather cut my conversation at 20, because when you start going extempo, you always exceed the timeline. And when you exceed the timeline, this becomes disrespectful for the organizers and the audience. and you are not respecting a fellow speaker. So never do that. Always keep yourself short of the time limit. What do you do in situations when it's only 5 minutes? If you have to quickly address, get on the stage, hop off. Keep it to the point. If you don't think your choice of words are going to connect with the audience, keep it say to a bulletin point, or use phrases by people like Mother Teresa, or say phrases like Michelle Obama, or people who you think are resonating with your character and what you're trying to say. Because when you make statements, when you make quotes, be yourself because everybody else is taken. That's a statement that I think all of us have shared on Instagram, Facebook. It lived in our lives, wanted to keep it true and whatnot. But then this is a statement you all connect with, because I'm seeing quite a few people smiling up on the screen. So with that, when you say be yourself because everybody else is taken, that's a point that you all connect with, right? You saw how I connected with you out of the blue. When you start connecting, you make heads turn. But in order to connect, your choice of words matter. How do you improve your choice of words? Either by communicating or by reading. Even when you're reading, you must start talking. Say I've read a novel. There's no point if it's all there in my head and if I'm able to write it down. As a speaker, I must be able to speak. Only when I speak it out loud will I know how am I sounding to myself. Because I may sound ridiculous sometimes if I've not done a foolproof check with my team. I need to run through the event. I need to run through the agenda to understand what's happening. I need to run through the theme, or I need to feel the theme. And when I speak about it out loud, which I commonly do against the mirror. One thing in theater you're always taught is mirror is your best friend. If you like how you speak in front of the mirror, you're off the track. Okay? There is nothing beating you. There's nothing competing. There's nothing that you're going up against because it's just yourself. But if you start thinking you are not good enough, if you start thinking you're at loss of words, you're not being your confident self, that's when you need to work on it. Use the mirror. I'm sure all of us love singing in the bathrooms. I'm sure all of us love dancing there. I'm sure when we're getting dressed, we all love admiring the mirror. Your Snapchat, your Reels, right? I'm sure TikTok's gone. I don't know how many of you have been on TikTok. But when you do a Reel, okay, you may not be in the generation that says, oh, I like TikTok. You may hate TikTok. You may hate the Reel. But when you see yourself on the camera, against the camera, mimicking the expressions of the music or a video, you realize that there are so many nuances as a speaker that you can contribute than of just being somebody who comes, reads out of a script and gets done. I personally would recommend you all to stick with reading through a script only if it's an event you're hosting, so that you know what the agenda is, so that you can coordinate with the operations team and say, okay, there is a change of events, there's a change in the program. Otherwise, if you are introducing a guest, which I think very commonly happens in Rotrack, is we read it out of a paper. Today, how Maunika introduced me, if you see, it was more of a personal touch. There was a lot of personal touch which came from a very professional relationship in Rotrack, but she connected. Many a times we don't have those connects with Rotarians. So we really don't know what to speak about them. We only read out the information that they've said, okay, that they are the district governor, or they are the PDG, or it's a DRR or a PDRR, right? But then ask the audience or the team inviting them, why have they invited them? There is a reason. Okay, let's say because he is the DRR and that is why he's being invited. He's become the DRR for a reason, right? He's gone through a process of becoming the DRR. He hasn't become DRR overnight. So there must be one good trait. And when you start addressing your dignitaries and your audience with one personal or one good trait, you've owned the stage. You've owned the limelight. You will start seeing them connect with you. Again, giving Maunika and my conversations example, when I started talking, she said, Sabrina, you're being too modest. This is a good quality of a public speaker, is you know when to pause the speaker or a host and then correct the person speaking, saying, or compliment the person. A compliment on a stage goes a long way. It certainly most does. But then to compliment, you need to be true about it. You can't just say, oh, he's a hardworking road tractor and that's why we've called him here. Everybody is hardworking in their own right. Why is it that you as a speaker find that person respectful? Use that. Understand that. And when you start doing that, I think you're a long way to go. We have a long way to go. But watching YouTube videos not really helps, because I'll tell you why. When you start watching a lot of, sorry, just a technical glitch again. Yeah. So when you start watching a lot of YouTube videos, in your head, You build a certain wall that this is how it needs to be spoken. This is how you need to conduct. This is how you need to hold a mic, or this is how you need to wear your headphones, or this is the posture you need to sit. It creates sort of a blockage in your head, and you stop looking beyond that blockage. You confine yourself into that room, and that is why you must never resort to YouTube videos unless and until you've reached a point of confidence in saying, okay, this is who I am, I own it, and this is what I will do. With that being said, the only friend that's going to come in hand is your camera and your mirror. If you are really shy to go against the mirror, I think the past president of your club chooses to disagree of going up against the mirror and speaking. If that's the case, speak to your fellow friend. Speak to your fellow colleague. Sorry. Oh, that was a chat. Okay. Sorry, got distracted with the chat. So I was saying, if you are somebody who's not confident with your own body up against the mirror, how do you expect the audience to take you confident? How do you expect the audience to understand your confidence or your body language and not misinterpret it? Because it's very common to be misinterpreted. You need to understand. This is where, again, your finesse and your clarity comes in. You cannot let the audience not understand or misinterpret your words. Your choice of words must be the most, or must have a bang on 100% clarity. Because if I'm going to flumble and flutter, doesn't really work. You lose interest in understanding and hearing what I've got to say. It's as simple as that. And attention is what's the most important when you're public speaking. But if you are not really confident in doing a reel, if you're not really confident on being on Snapchat and being expressive about it and talking about it, speak to your colleague, speak to your friend. In road track, speak to a fellow road tracker or fellow volunteer saying, this is my script, this is how I plan on reading, let's do a rehearsal. An outsider's opinion who you trust to give you a constructive criticism, not somebody who will just clap your hands in the worst time and say, oh no, you've done a fantabulous job. Everybody's going to say that to keep up your heart. Choose one person who will give you a constructive criticism. The person who gives you the most constructive criticism is your honest buddy. You need a mirror, you need a reflection before you take it to the next level. And unless and until you don't have constructive criticism coming your way, you're not going to progress. And the day you start stagnating, that's the death of a public speaker. With that being said, I'm going to take like a quick second off because there is some technical issue and I'm going to reconnect. Yeah, is that okay? Great, thank you. Hi, sorry, that was the technical glitch. So yeah, with that being said, I think I would like to conclude this entirely by saying once you're done with the event, or once you're done with your session or with your round of hosting, always collect a feedback. Feedback from the audience. If you can connect with the dignitaries to understand the feedback, great, lucky you. But also take a feedback from your own team. When you take a feedback from your team, you understand what the team expected from you in the first place. When you sit and work with somebody, like this is something I was questioning Monica as well. This is something I question a lot of people who want me to speak or host an event. Why is it that you want me, number one? If that's not the question, what is it that you expect from me? If you've come to me asking address the audience or host, what is it that you as a person like about me or me hosting or my potential that you want me there? It's your project. It's your event. I'm not the one doing it. You just want me there. But why do you want me there? Now, when they say, let's say we think you're the right person, or you bring a certain expression to it or a certain pizzazz to it, great, then I stick to it. But there are times where I'm bluntly told on my face, because you speak better English than the fellow team or than the fellow road tractor in our club. That is why we want you. Great, you want me for my language, and that's okay because it's taken me years to build my language and my command. I've put in my efforts there. And it's even better because you acknowledge my command. So that means I've done something right to be there. But then once the event is over, always reflecting. And if you can record your events, even better, because when you start looking at it again, when you personally pinpoint at mistakes that could have been avoided, your next event gets better. It comes down to constructive criticism again. But with that being said, there are going to be times where your audience is going to put you in a very tough spot. Like, say, for example, you are hosting a college event. And yeah, obviously, when there is a DJ playing the music, there is the audience that is not focusing attention on you. Audience is lost in the music, or audience is lost in the dignitary walking in, or in an actress walking in. This usually happens in cultural events, where because there is a model who's walked in, the boys are distracted, or because there's a guy that's walked in, natural gender reactions is what you get. How do you control an audience of that sort? Or you will find an audience who happens to be just least interested in your session and gives out an answer there. Either you can ignore, number one. Number two, if you can go with your audience's flow and say, we've had Christina, the actress Regina, walk into the crowd, and the entire WCC crowd, she's an ex-WCCite, right? So if the entire crowd of WCC has gone gaga about it, and which is natural, she's an actress, obviously, and they've taken their attention completely off to another direction, you go with the flow and you acknowledge her presence. You acknowledge her beauty. You acknowledge why the crowd has got mesmerized by her and pull them back to the conversation. When you let them go with the flow, great, but you've just lost your audience. To pull back your audience from the distraction that happens at that moment is a quality of an amazing public speaker. And it takes years to master. It is not something with 1 or 2 events you can do. No matter how many videos you see, no matter how much you are mentally prepared, be ready to accept that there are going to be discrepancies in any event. A flawless event is a myth. Doesn't happen. There are going to be glitches. And if there are no glitches, honestly, it's a boring event. It doesn't excite the team to work enough. And I'm sure we all want some excitement and adventure in our lives. With that being said, now say if you are addressing a serious gathering, let's say we're talking about government officials there, and we're not talking about a movie actress walking in, and because it's a government official thing, everybody's dozed off, they're exhausted, they're drained. Again, if you can recollect a couple of moments ago, like how I said, be yourself because everybody else is taken, and I saw quite a few smiles across the screen. This is where your connect of using a phrase or understanding your audience to what they have in their minds helps. A sleeping audience who's just heard a 60-year-old man, honestly, people fall asleep. It is okay. Don't be too harsh on your crowd and saying, oh, he slept. Don't feel rejected. It is okay he slept. Honey, he's at least turned up for the event. That's a big thing, which is honestly not easy in today's time to get somebody to come, which again, very clear with Rotaract. We pull in registrations for the events, trying to have an audience, but there is going to be a setback. But then work on the audience. Old deaf lady in the corner, work on her. Use that person as a drive, saying, I am going to make this person pay attention to me. How? Connect with the music, connect with the audience, understand, call that person out. I'm sure quite a few have seen where a few these dignitaries would have called out this person saying, you there in the center row, what is it? Or how not? There are very rare cases, but these do happen. When this sort of a situation happens where you need to call out a person, especially when it is beyond ethics and moralities because something's gone wrong, it is okay. If you think it is important to call out a person, please call out, but be very humble about it. Don't be arrogant that you own the stage. Never do that. The day you start being arrogant about it, it reflects on your face, and the day you start doing that, that's your downfall. And once your downfall happens, climbing back up the same ladder, it's a brutal world. You don't get the opportunity again. And no matter what event, it can be a 5-people event, it can be a 30-people event, 3,000. Every event must be given the same dedication as the previous, or even more. Do not disregard the event. I've seen where people choose to not acknowledge a smaller crowd or not acknowledge their presence at a crowd because they feel ashamed saying, oh no, I was part of a small circle. No. You are the same person, you are the same speaker. Had you not started addressing the crowd by 5, you wouldn't have reached 50, you wouldn't have reached 500 then. You need to start somewhere. With you need to start somewhere, if you all think you will want to start hosting or speaking at events that have a minimum of 100, doesn't work. Start by speaking to 3 people in an audience. Sorry, yes, Monica wants to say something, I guess.
I think we're exceeding the time. If you could finish up
Perfect.
with this point.
Yeah, great, done. So with that, I was talking about start off with 3, turn it into 13, turn it into 23, work your crowd up. But always remember the day that you started is your best day. And every event that goes on should only contribute towards you getting better. There is no such thing as saying, oh, I'm done. I've reached the peak. This is my height. That's when the downfall starts. Every day should be 0.1% better than your yesterday. So with that, I think since I've exceeded my timeline as well, I am going to call it a day and say thank you for having me. And any questions at all, now, later, feel free to hit me up anytime. Always approachable. I don't have the resting bitch face. So anytime. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Sabrina. That was wonderful, and one step at a time towards the goal is a valid takeaway for everyone in every part of life, not just public speaking. So the floor is open for whoever wants to ask question. If you have a poor receptivity, kindly drop in the question in chat. I will be addressing it to Sabrina. Yeah. If there is no questions, you could also tell that, so it will be easier for us to wrap it up.
Yeah, hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello.
Yes,
Hello, hi.
Hi.
Hi, I have a question.
Yeah.
Yeah, so can we choose this public speaking as a profession?
Oh, most certainly you must. If you are really considering it to be a profession, let me tell you the reality. Reality is it's a little difficult to monetize initially. It's a little difficult to start networking in this sort of a sphere initially. But if you're ready to put in the hard work, then definitely you must consider it, because the sort of opportunities it brings and the sort of places it will take you, it is mind-boggling. It is honestly mind-boggling. So yes, if you are considering as a profession, make sure that you bring something that the person hiring you does not reject. You're somebody who can't be rejected. Work yourself to there.
Yes, of course. But I have a doubt that can you please conduct a session by giving out the points that how to make this public speaking as a profession?
Oh, sure. You basically want to understand the networking side as to how you can network around the circle and where to connect with people and how to take it forward into a different side, right? If that's the question.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
great. I think I will put this across to Sahas again, because this is something that I need a little time to work on, because this is the pandemic period. And if this was a regular time, I'm sure that post the event itself, I would have started giving you out inputs. But if Sahas is not taking this forward as a separate event, get in touch with Monica, get in touch with me personally. We'll catch up on this and we'll review. But if you want this as a session, you'll have to check with Team Sahas there for that.
I think that's a very valid question of yours, Bhavani. And I think in the next session, we will also be addressing that, because we've already decided who the speaker is for the next session. Please attend the next session to know the answer.
Of course. Thank you so much for your answer, sir. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome.
Hi, ma'am.
Who called me ma'am? No, I'm just Sabrina. Just Sabah or Sabrina. No, ma'am, please.
Okay.
I'm only 24, so I'm no ma'am level. I'm just, no. So.
Oh, fine. So my question is like, if it is a public speaking, we generally stick on, if something the topic is about, what if we don't stick on to the topic, and in order to bring the eagerness of the audience, we just go to some personal stories of our things, okay? So in order to get their attention or grab their attention, so what limit the personal stories has to be?
Okay,
like,
I'll tell you. Okay, pretty valid question, Niveda. With that being said, I'm honestly not a fan of personal stories unless and until it's inspirational. Okay, to me, Unless and until it's something I don't find inspiring or something that makes me question, oh, wow, even this could be done, I wouldn't listen to that person. Okay. Second of all, as a qualitative public speaker, bring your personal stories, like how I was talking about my equation with Monica, or about me and my theater experience of having to work in front of the mirror, right? It is up to you, number one. First, on a very personal note, if you have the courage to bring your personal stories up on stage and share it, it's a very personal thing, right? But with that, I would never advise you to go in depth and keep it to the point. Never go in depth, because one, the audience is there for the topic that's in discussion. Number two, they've invited you to speak on that topic. When they've invited you to speak on that topic, if you can connect yourself to that topic, it is of a better regard. It is of a higher value, because your audience has come for the topic, though they know your face, but they personally haven't come there for your personal story. So unless and until, I'm sure quite a few of you road tractors would have known about Sujit Kumar, Road Track Club of Madras Central. He is somebody who is brilliant with his inspirational stories, right? That is okay. But going down to a personal level, I don't highly recommend it, keeping it too personal. No, I wouldn't recommend that.
Also, ma'am, like I've been in oratory competitions in colleges. So I just stuck upon with some points. I'll be just going on, but suddenly I'll be stuck upon with my points. I don't know, like I just stop myself. Then for few seconds I pause myself and I get embarrassed. Then I start up with some other point which I've prepared. So then I go with that flow. It happened twice. Then I stopped taking the oratory competitions itself. Oh my God, it's not. So I started thinking of that kind. So how can we improve? If at all we got stuck upon with some points or with the flow, what can we do with it?
Okay. Number one, love. All I'll say is don't get embarrassed. You're human. We're all humans. Embarrassment. Who? See. Now I'll tell you the other way of it. If you think the public's judging you, that's secondary. But by saying you are embarrassed, you're judging yourself. If you think you want to be an excellent orator, if you want to be phenomenal, who has a continuous flow of speech, right? If you conduct yourself there, you have to go through these mishaps. You think I wouldn't have been in your position?
Could have been, ma'am. Like,
that is what's brought me here today. Because I've had my negative, let's not even call it negative. I think it's too strong of a word to call it negative. Because I've had my days, today can I speak? Those were my learning lessons for my today.
Okay, ma'am. Also,
yeah.
I'm sorry to take more time.
You guys, 1 second.
Yeah.
There is a technical glitch. 1 second, guys. Yeah, sorry. So with that, yeah, sorry. Nimita, addressing that one, don't be embarrassed. Number two, just get yourself back on the track. You deserve to be there. You love it. The fact that you're taking efforts to write down a list to talk about shows how dedicated you are. Because you're so dedicated, when you're making a list, speak about it in front of the mirror. Okay? And once you start speaking in front of the mirror, it goes in the flow. You'll understand what it is.
Okay, ma'am. So another question, ma'am, the final one. So, like working on pronunciation, ma'am, like we aren't that much British British involved speaker. Like because basically we are all tuned up to Indian speakers. So how can we improvise our pronunciation, work on that kind of sorts, ma'am?
Okay, I'll tell you. Yeah, I'll tell you. That's very real. Because I studied in Women's Christian College, right? Because I studied in WCC, I had a lot of friends who were from Kerala. So their way of pronunciation works a little different. At home, we speak a lot of Urdu, right? Because we speak a lot of Urdu, our English pronunciation is different. Our regional languages tend to take up control over our pronunciations. The only way it is possible is that
Sabrina, we can't hear you.
Mauni, I guess she left. I guess. She online? Yeah, she's online.
I think there is a technical issue. Meanwhile, others who have question, please put it up in the chat because we have very limited time. So yeah, we have Purna's question. We also have a Prakash question. And if anyone else who have any other question, kindly write it down on the chat. So she will come back and address them. Yeah, thank you. So I think there is a network issue at Sabrina's end. We will make a note of this question and post the answers in the DRISHTA group. I might also have a few things to share because I've also been into public speaking for quite some time. So Purna, like Sabrina mentioned, the three simple things is you need to remember the 3 P's: prepare, practice, and present. That works very well for public speaking. Okay, whatever be it, how do you prepare for it is very important, and how do you practice for it is even more important. And that's when your presentation will be to the point. Okay. And Prakash, unfortunately, mistakes. Yeah. So Prakash, when there are mistakes, it's okay to make mistakes. Ideally, like Sabrina mentioned, or anyone, when we started public speaking or when we started addressing huge gathering, we will stutter, we will have some fear. It's not that after 1,000 speeches, a fear's ratio will go down. It's just because of the practice, we are able to overcome the fear. And we know how to manage even if there is a mistake. And it's okay if you're making a mistake because everyone learns from practice and it's completely fine. Yeah, did that answer your question, Prakash? Yes, please keep us posted. And Sonal, again, fear and face the audience while public speaking. That's the biggest thing you need to overcome to become a public speaker. Trust my words. Because initially, the first time when I went on stage, it was very embarrassing. You won't believe me. I kept beating myself for like 5 days for doing that mistake on stage. And moreover, it was not even a speech. It was just reading out of a script. And that itself, I messed it up. But then slowly, after I started doing more of those addressing, gathering, then it started flowing out. Even without preparation, addressing a gathering became easier. Because the more you face an audience, the more you understand, the more you accept yourself is very, very important. That's when you will be, able to present yourself better. You understanding and accepting yourself for being you is mainly very important. Then, anyone else doing that for you. And this plays a really big role in public speaking as well. So, yeah. So we have a quick polling option to understand how the quality of the session is. I'll just put it up on the screen. Please answer it. It just has 2 questions about how today's session was and how eager are you about tomorrow's session. Please answer it quickly.
Monica?
Yeah, 1 minute. Yes, Niveda.
Sorry for the interruption. Yeah, ma'am has come.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No, that's okay. Extremely sorry for this technical glitch that's happening. Unfortunately, today of all the days, this glitch had to happen. So with that being said, I think I was addressing Niveda. Is she there? Yeah. So when you talk about command over the language and the pronunciation, the only practical advice I'll give you is stop conversing in your regional language as much as you can. when you start, if you are somebody who is aiming at being a public speaker more in English and having a profound language control, then in that case, then you need to look at where your influences are coming in. But if it is your same Tamil language you think is enhancing your pronunciations, then great, be it so. But if you think it's the same Tamil pronunciation that is bringing this down, then you really need to work on understanding what's the more priority on your language control. For me, I saw a lot of Malayalam coming through my language, so I stopped conversing in that language.
Ma'am, to me, like, I don't know which language is dominating me, ma'am, because I know Hindi, Telugu, Tamil, so these languages, I don't know which language is dominating me and which slang is dominating me. And
Okay.
altogether, my English is somewhat, and my English is somewhat different, ma'am. Altogether, mixed up, it's just mixed up, ma'am. I don't know what language to stop.
No worries. You know what? One, you can use this to your strength, because you know so many languages. Commendable to you for that. It's not easy to know so many languages, but the fact that you know it, we can turn this around to your strength. But this is something you and I'll have to work on it personally for me to help you out, because right now, if I'm to get into the details, it might just get a little while longer. So you can connect with me personally and I will definitely help you on that.
I'm glad. Thank you, ma'am.
Most welcome.
With your permission, Sabrina, I would like to share your email address with everyone in the group in case if they have any questions.
Definitely.
They could,
Most definitely. Please go ahead.
And meanwhile, we also had 3 questions for which I myself addressed, but we would like to also hear it from you. So Pooja had asked, what are the 3 simple things we need to keep in mind while preparing or as a speaker?
While preparing as a speaker, while preparations.
Okay. And also as
And also as
a public speaker, what are the 3 main things which we need to always remember?
ABC. Audience, be yourself, clarity.
And yeah, I also said the 3 P's: prepare, practice, present. And Prakash also asked about making mistakes and how to overcome.
Okay.
So, so I said it's okay to make mistakes and accept yourself for making mistakes.
Most definitely. I think that's what I was addressing on a little while longer. It's okay to have mistakes done. Like there is no such, see, again, it's about perspective. If you think it is a mistake, not necessarily I as an audience must find it. Maybe you are too good of a person that I wouldn't have caught it as an audience. So it is okay. Just own up to it. Don't ignore it. Don't brush it on the carpet. Just own it. Say, yes, there has been a mistake, or apologize for it and move on. An apology is far better than ignorance. Trust me. Saves your evening.
So Sonal asked about how to overcome stage fear and face the audience. And for that, my answer was everyone does have fear. And you know, when I started
I wouldn't answer it any differently. You will not believe. Before starting the session today, I spoke to my 3 best friends and I'm like, I'm going crazy. I don't know what, because these guys are looking up to me and addressing. And they're like, it's going to be fine. Chill. Right now, my best friends helped me do the setup for today and all of that. Oh, trust me, after having done 15, 20 plays, after being a part of theatre circles outside school and college, after being in road track, no matter what, stage fear is bound to happen where you will mess up the event, or you will not be up to your standard, or your outfit gives up, or you are not feeling, because personally you might be having a crappy day, but you have an event to attend, right? There are gazillion reasons how things can go down south. What I do, my personal trick is I remember the people who give me the most confidence and happiness, and I take the names and I go on stage. I'm like, great, done. I do that trick. It helps me. I speak to my friends before I do any big thing, because that gives me saying, okay, if they think I can do it, I can do it. I also know people in my fellow circle who have like a rigorous scheme, saying half an hour before the event, they're so into the prep, they're doing yoga, they're doing all their breathing and their vowels and their enunciations. There are people who bury in music. This is something that you have to do a personal journey on. If you're fearing the stage, it's definitely because the audience, you think they're going to judge you. They are bound to judge you. They are going to judge you. That's the truth that nobody will tell you. They will judge you. They will say things. They may give you an opportunity or not later. But to make sure you bag your next opportunity is when you are yourself. So figure out. You're a music person, movie person, yoga person. If you like sprinting, if you're more athletic, like our dear Maunika, who rather cycle around and then come. Or if you're like me, 2 people. understand where you derive your confidence from. I derive my confidence from my friends. So for me, it works that way. So stage fear is always going to be there, darling. Even if you're Shah Rukh Khan, you're going to have a stage fright. But then it's Shah Rukh Khan, so it's a different story. Yeah.
There's no one solution for stage fear, just that you get along with it better over the time.
Exactly. Stop fearing. Stop fearing yourself to make a mistake. Start trusting yourself that you're capable of handling yourself, no matter what life throws at you. They say, no, when life gives you lemons, turn it into a margarita and make them wonder why. Do that. But figure out what works for you. What works for me doesn't necessarily work for you. But if you want to go on a journey to figure it out, I'm always there. Just an email or a WhatsApp text away and I'll help you figure it out.
So, Malik, thank you so much, Niveda, and everyone for the question. The last question or request is from Rahman Malik. He has a request. Please go ahead, Malik, unmute yourself and ask the question or request.
Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. Actually, I'm very much lucky to participate this session. I'm from actually Bangladesh. So I have a request to speaker, because the speaker is a good speaker. I thought her session is very impressive for us. And actually, I want to organize a seminar in Bangladesh for road tractors who are in the young professionals for them. I'm inviting you, the speaker, as a speaker for our session, as a 1 hour session. If you can give us 1 hour, then it is very lucky for us. And we will be very much happy for you. Happy to you that is you can give us a session for us, because I am actually as the senior tractor in here. So I want to organize a session with you.
Oh, wow. Okay. Did I just hear that right?
Yes, you did. I think now I should address not for just the participants, but also for speakers, new opportunity through DRISHTA. But yeah.
So with this being said, see, I was just saying about my best friends giving me that confidence, right? I think they are my lucky charms. And see, just, I don't know, I was myself. It worked out. This came in. First of all, thank you so much for inviting. Thank you for considering worthy enough of being invited. And I'm so glad that you found the session impressive, because I know the efforts that Monica and team have been putting in, and following up with me hasn't been easy on her. And to be still doing this with a friend and for fellow road tractors, it's always a pleasure, any day and every day. So we must definitely connect. And yeah, sure, any time for an opportunity. When the opportunity comes knocking, and if I choose to disregard and discredit, it's wrong for my profession. So yeah.
So,
sure,
Sabrina, thank you so much. Yeah, Rahman.
Thank you
Malik,
so much. Yes, thank you so much. I will give my contact number in group. So
sure.
I will invite you everyone in our session also. Maybe it will be in September first week. So
yeah,
thank you very much.
We'll connect. Yeah. Ben.
Yeah, we're connecting, and then I give you the actually whatever you time. That time we will organize that session by over Zoom.
Sure.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And thank you for being a part of 3232's event. Thank you.
Right. Thank you very much. Actually, I'm from 3281. So basically, I'm from Bangladesh. So we have a 2 districts in Bangladesh, 3281 and 3282. So basically, we are part from 3281. We will organize for the women's also, because our women's empowerment line is very good. The women's president and women's district official has a lot of been here. So this is helpful for them also, I think so.
Yeah. Definitely. We'll work on it. Anything can be sorted once we take this out. Yeah.
I will share Sabrina's email address post this session on the group which we have for ourselves, so that you could write her a mail. And yes, personally, she will share her number with you, which is more convenient for me as well. Before we close the session, we have a poll, a feedback collection, which will be launched. Kindly answer the question so that, we can also improvise the quality of how those sessions are being conducted. Venki, would you mind? Please launch the polls. And requesting organizers and the speaker to refrain from answering the polls.
Oh no, I did answer the poll and I put it as neutral, just saying.
Okay.
And I request you and team to share it with me so that this works as a constructive criticism for me. and you and I will take our conversation offline and
Sure.
we will reply. But with that being said, I think again what I said in the start, Monica, you and team are amazing. Sahas is doing something great, honestly. For the opportunity that I've had to be connecting with people like Niveda and the rest of the team and C2C participants, giving the credit where it all started from. I'm indebted to Rotrack for the people I'm meeting, for the opportunities I'm getting, and it's been an amazing platform. And thank you for having me doing the first session. And yeah.
Ma'am, I would like to share a few words, ma'am. As you said, you were also scared before doing this, and you told that you asked your friends and you spoke to them when you came here, and you literally really rocked the session, ma'am, and it's so good. You all enjoyed it, and I just want to give the feedback live, such as opted this one. So it was really good, ma'am. Like you taught us new things and you cleared my doubts, ma'am. Actually, I had these kinds of doubts before. I used to be thinking, how can I do it? Like public speaking, stuff like that. And it was really so good and you rocked it and you made your day, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Means much. Thank you.
Venki, has everyone answered the poll? Venki, you're on mute. If you can answer on the chat.
18 people have answered.
We have 24 participants, excluding me and Babu. I think 22 responses should have come. 22, 21.
Okay, so it's 21.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think you can close the poll, Venki.
Huh?
Close the poll.
Okay.
So Venki has said thank you so much to everyone. Meet you all in the next session. It was an awesome session, Sabrina. Thank you so much for your presence today. By mistake, he has sent it only to me, so I'm just reading out to everyone. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, guys, once again. Thank you.
I, as a chairman, and Venki as a secretary, would be very glad that even our speaker got a stage to showcase their skills. So with that note, I'm so happy that all of you were able to attend this session. You know, I understand in India, it's a public holiday, and for others, a Saturday evening is still a commitment. Apart from that, even after all this pandemic, making and showing up for the session means quite a lot for me. And the first session is absolutely amazing. And thank you so much, Sabrina, for accepting the request. And I'm pretty sure because as a friend, I came and nudged you just 3 days before the session and you were able to take the request on such a short notice, which is definitely commendable. Yeah. We will personally talk more because I think friendship is making me talk quite a lot. Yeah. So before we close the session, I'd like all of you to switch on the camera so we can take a nice screenshot of everyone's face smiling at the camera. So it's easier for us to, you know. Yeah. Babu, how do we cancel? Okay, yeah. Please switch on the camera so we can take the picture. Prakash is here, Bhavani is here, Purna is here, Ovya, Babu, Sonal is here. Venki, please switch on your camera. Sagar, Ayush, Uma, Aishwarya, Amirda, please try and switch on your camera. Mohammed.
Sabrina, ma'am.
Yes.
Get the number and ask the questions. Like, can I
yeah, sure. I think Monica is going to be sharing my email ID. Just drop in an email and I'll share my contact details with you.
Yeah? Thank you, ma'am.
Most welcome.
Could you all please unmute your camera quickly so that we take a picture and call it a day? Yeah, ready? Yeah. On the count of 3, I'm clicking a picture, so please give your pose. 3, 2, 1. Let me quickly check how it came. So.
Yeah, Monica, you know my pictures. They better be right.
a quick one more. Ready? 3, 2, 1, go. Yeah. So thank you so much all. It was wonderful having you here today. Let's meet again September 3rd Saturday and continue learning as much as we could. And last but not least, thank you so much, Sabrina, for making for this session. And also thank you to Rotractor Purna for letting us do this project with all the nagging and bugging and you know whatnot. But yeah, thank you so much, Purna, for also being a huge pillar of support for making this happen. And I don't have to mention my secretary here. He's always been there to make this happen. Yeah, thank you so much, one and all. Please feel free to write it to us in the group or in person on whatever you feel like sharing about the session or whatever you want us to improve on the session. With this note, thank you so much and see you all. Bye.
Bye.
Take care.
Thank you so much, guys.
Purna, Venki, please stay back. And Babu.
Okay, Ra.
என்ன விஷயம் லைவ் ஸ்டாப் பண்ணிரவா ஹலோ
Yes, please.
ஓகே